Thank you so much for joining today's live Reonomy webcast hosted by a group. During today's session, we will explore the power of Reonomy and how you may use it to discover untapped opportunities online. Before we get started, just a few things to note. This webcast today is being recorded, and you might have noticed that you are muted. All participants on the line today have been. However, if you have any questions or feedback during our session today, we still would love to hear from you, so please use the Q&A function. By way of introductions, my name is Jane Gold, and I'm an offer manager here at Altus Group for our data products, which includes Reonomy. I am excited to be joined today by my colleague, Jessica Sullivan Islam, who is one of our real estate solutions experts.
Hey everyone, hey Jane.
Now that you know who we are, and obviously we're excited to be here, joined by all of you on the line, we want to get to know who we have with us. So you will see a poll populate on your screen. Take a moment and let us know what your experience is with Reonomy, whether you're a current user, a former user, or maybe this is your first time hearing anything about Reonomy. We're so excited to have all of you with us here today. I'm always curious what type of folks we get on this.
I am too, Jane. I want to see, do we have some newbies with us, or do we have a bunch of, kind of old hats that are ready to see some of our new functionality?
Absolutely. I always think it's a good experience to join these webinars, see what else we have going on. I personally always learn something new from the demos that you, Jess, and I know some of our other teammates do. Always pick up new tricks and tips.
Absolutely.
Alrighty.
I feel like I'm always learning too.
Reonomy is such a powerful tool. There's so much kind of opportunities that someone can discover with the tool that we provide. So before we get started and get into the demo portion of today's call, obviously, as we just kind of chit-chatted about, it's always good to refresh our memory on Reonomy, learn what you can discover with the data that we're able to provide. So I'll take a quick moment of the time before I pass it off to Jess to share a bit about Reonomy and what it is. Reonomy is uniquely positioned to sift through and connect the historically disparate data sets of the commercial real estate industry and provide that all in one system. This is due to our truly unparalleled data network that includes both public and private data partnerships. We also have a number of exclusive partnerships with Black Knight, CoreLogic, Dun & Bradstreet. This is unique to Reonomy, so the data that we're able to work with them to share with all of you is something unique to the Reonomy experience. We are able to combine the data that we receive from our data providers in our data network with our proprietary machine learning models and our proprietary knowledge graph technology. With this, we are able to provide the most comprehensive database of commercial real estate properties in the United States. We take this massive amount of data and then make it super easy to access. As you'll see soon, or you'll be reminded of, Reonomy's super intuitive web application, which enables you to search through the over 54 million commercial parcels to find properties that fit a specific criteria. You're also able to discover key insights about a property, trace back through the over 68 million sales records to uncover historical insights or trends. And our True Owner feature allows you to see through shell LLCs to determine who the real owner is of a property. Reonomy takes it a step forward to provide contact details, and we're able to create ownership portfolios so you can see holistically everything a potential owner has in their portfolio. This allows you to understand deeper who you might be getting into business with. We are a data product, and therefore data quality is paramount to our process and to our product. That said, it is something we're continually investing in to ensure we're providing the most valuable and up-to-date information to all of you. To connect the dots and truly holistically understand an opportunity, Reonomy complements our property data with our market and demographics feature. Here we provide aggregated property data and demographic insights for US Census defined regions. This allows you to uncover transaction patterns, understand the concentration of property types in a specific market you might be interested in, and allows you to discover trends for population, income, and so much more. These market and demographic pages are a relatively new feature in Reonomy, so something we certainly wanted to highlight here today and something Jess will show in her demo as well. Hopefully, though, you can already start to imagine how Reonomy could be or can continue to be a valuable tool for you and your business. But I will turn it over to Jess to put all of the things I started to highlight into action in the demo of the Reonomy web application. Jess, over to you.
Thanks so much, Jane. I think that was a great introduction to the basis of Reonomy and the backbone of the web platform that we'll take a look at here. Team, just since we're going to be navigating through a live web platform together, Jane and I will go off camera for this portion of the webinar. So give me just a moment to update my camera settings and to end our slideshow, where you should be able to now see my web browser where I have Reonomy open. So I'll really build on that basis or foundation of the platform that Jane laid out. Reonomy was really designed to solve the problem of fragmented, disconnected commercial property data. So our web platform is combining all of those data sources that Jane shared in one user interface. You can see I have almost 54 million properties across the US that I'll be able to search or filter through to really be able to create a targeted lead list or build out my deal pipeline and have that be really potentially great opportunities waiting for me. Now, I did want to quickly highlight and address that market and demographics feature that Jane mentioned. I'm going to start with, in this case, the Tulsa MSA. The market information overview page is going to pop up and show us really a dynamic aggregation of property and transaction metrics for whatever market you select from. Remember, these dashboards are going to be census driven in a sense. So think MSA, we can get down to the census tract. We'll be able to look at county level details, zip codes in some cases. On the dashboard itself, not only do I get an overlay, charts right at the top of the screen, breaking down the property types that are in the market and how many of those there are, what that breakout looks like, the volume of transactions by property type, and then the number of transactions. As we continue scrolling down, we're highlighting certain key metrics like the median sale price, median building size, price per square foot. And you can see on the opposite side of the screen, we'll have similar metrics around mortgage and mortgage term dates, things like that. You have time series graphs in the middle of the screen, really giving you that perspective on your potential investment market. What have the last, in this case, 20 years of transactions looked like in this market, and how has that changed over time? What about the perspective from the debt side of things? And I can look at this both as a whole amount, or I can look at it on a per square foot basis, so I get that immediate breakdown. We are not only looking at the historical data, but we're forecasting, I should say, now casting that all the way up to today. So not just that historical perspective, but really even as recent as 2025 data as it's coming in. We're loading it into these dashboards for you. So I can see the number of transactions that have occurred so far that have been updated across the country. Who are the other investors in this market? I've got a top owners card giving me kind of a top 5 view of who else is investing here. And for any of these owners, in fact, one of the key features of Reonomy is the ability to get to a true owner of a property, piercing past a shell company or an LLC that was registered just at the time of transaction. We're able to tie all of those subsidiaries and branches all back to a parent company and organize all the data around the assets in an owner's portfolio. So we can see where they are investing, where they're putting their money in, the area measure exposure that they have, what are their top investment markets, and then what are some of those subsidiaries, branches associated in the company family. In addition to the ownership overview of the portfolio, we'll give you a full breakdown of all of the properties so you can see key statistics around those assets, along with a table view with all of those addresses and full details. You can see I'm able to scroll across, and I'll give this just a second to keep loading here for us, but I'll be able to scroll across and get to additional detail on those assets in the owner portfolio. Finally, a context tab is really key because this is where we're surfacing up those, the ability to get in touch with someone directly related to this asset, whether that is via phone or email. We will indicate with these icons that you see out to the right-hand side of the screen what kind of contact information we have, and you have the ability to give feedback on if that's good contact details for that person or not. I did want to highlight the ownership portfolios as it is really a unique feature to Reonomy. We'll be able to see that several times throughout the platform. I will go back to the previous tab where we were looking at our market overview dashboard. Once we have that perspective on the market and where we're looking to invest, that's when we might want to start to see what does existing inventory look like, and are there any potentially hidden opportunities here that we may be able to uncover based on the data that's being surfaced up within Reonomy. So I'm going to take us next into a view of all of the properties. Remember, we've selected the Tulsa region. So right now we're really restricted to the boundaries of the Tulsa MSA, but I could certainly remove that. We can spread this out wider, but for the purpose of today, we'll keep it focused on this region. I can see that's accounting for just north of 110,000 commercial properties in Tulsa. And I've now got not only a map view that I can see off to the right, but a card listing as I scroll down on the left side, a card representing each asset. Now, since this is absolutely every asset in the market, I'm certainly going to want to filter down on this, really refine what I'm looking at so that I'm only seeing those assets that are relevant to maybe my own investment parameters. So I'm going up to the top of my screen, looking at more filters. And I can start by selecting a property type. Maybe I'm focused on mixed use office industrial spaces. So here, just to cast a wider net, I'm going to include commercial, office, and industrial properties. You'll see that the Reonomy platform is covering all the way out through multifamily, hospitality, retail, special purpose, vacant land. We even have a public lands, easements, what have you. So a lot of property type filters to choose from here. With mine selected, I can move into the building and lot filters where I'm able to start refining. For example, if it's multifamily properties that I primarily work with, I might be interested in specific unit sizes, or we are looking for distressed properties. So we want to see properties that maybe have not been renovated recently, so only renovations up until 2005, let's say 2010. So there's really a lot I can start to do with these filters. I can search for specific opportunity zones or within specific opportunity zones. Here, I'm just going to quickly throw in a building area measure around 15,000. And as I add filters, if you'll notice that counter in the top right of the screen is constantly updating. You're able to filter on ownership details. So if you're looking at assets attributed to a specific owner, person, or company, maybe you are looking for an actionable lead list that you can generate out of the Reonomy platform. We see some of our users include the owner contact information filter, so they only want to be able to see assets where there's a phone number or an email address included, so they can get in touch with someone on the other side of a potential deal. There is an occupants tab. If you've got certain tenants in mind for a specific kind of commercial property, you can absolutely layer that in. You can search by their NAICS or SIC descriptions as well. There is a sales filter, especially helpful if you are wanting to look at assets that are only transacting in a particular price range. Let's say I only want to look at properties, let's say over $1 million here today. And only those that maybe have not transacted in the last 5 years, for example. I do think our likelihood to sell filter is very interesting, and we'll be able to see this on the other side with some of our results as well. This allows us to employ Reonomy's machine learning algorithms that are looking at factors around properties in a market. For example, if they have debt, when that debt is expiring or maturing, how I should say the transaction velocity of other assets like this in the market. It looks at many factors and determines, do the conditions look right based on the data points that this asset is maybe even more primed. The owner may be open to an off-market deal. So we always say take it with a grain of salt. It is going to err on the side of a positive, right? Because we look at the, the loss of, hey, I called someone and it was a no-go is much less than, hey, we didn't even see this asset and it was right up our alley and now that's a deal we're not even going to get. I am not going to select it here, but I will highlight it for us because it will show up again in the results. So I don't want to restrict my properties to only those that get the likelihood to sell rating. There are a few other tabs here, whether I want to look at mortgage origination date, mortgage origination amount, maturity date. Maybe we want to see what has debt maturing in the next year. You can search by lender. We even include CMBS properties, those that are maybe currently or were previously on the watch list. Auction date, so any kind of auction date being assigned or pre-foreclosure category. And then finally, you can certainly filter on things like year-over-year changes in tax or the actual tax amount. With a few of those search filters applied, I will hit apply. But before I go too far away from this searching, I do want to point out that if I have search filters that I want to be able to revisit over and over, you have the ability to actually save your searches. So now I can name this. This is my Tulsa, let's say, life sciences deal list. I save that to my system, and now anytime I log in, I can come up to my saved searches and I'll see all of those parameters. I can relaunch that at any time, and it's dynamically updating. So as data points are added to the system that now mean another property will be matching your filter parameters, that will get updated. So you'll always see the freshest data when you run that search. Now with my filter parameters applied, my search is now saved to the system. I have this listing, just 15 properties now to go through that meet all of my parameters, my search parameters. I did want to point out before we go into too much detail how I can look at this. So right now I'm looking at these properties by the year renovated. Maybe I want to view this by the likelihood to sell. So I want to be able to see those properties that we think will sell sooner rather than later, or maybe more open to an off-market deal, I should probably say. And then the next thing I might want to do, especially as I'm starting to look through this, actually organize my thoughts or my process around this, we have a label feature that is going to let you apply literally tags or labels to the records only within your instance of Reonomy. So I could add them to, for example, my target list for a specific month, or hey, we've already contacted them, they're not interested, let's add them to our do not disturb list. Maybe we want to add a particular property record to an outreach campaign, track different stages of our process. So that label feature becomes really helpful and useful. As I'm looking at this list, I can select from any of these cards and get to more detail than what we see just here in the list of results. So I'll choose this first item in the list. Of course, we can see the address, the square footage, the property type, when the property was built and last sold, along with owner information. But when I select the asset, I will get really a deep dive into that property and all the details we have around it. Up at the top of the screen, I'll get a Google Street View. That Google Street View will include this yellow outline of the tax parcel that we're looking at associated with this address. And I also actually have a map that will show me where this asset is, again, with the tax parcel outlined. So you've got really a couple of different ways you can visualize that if you need to. I'll hide the map for now because I do want to focus on the data points that you get with the Reonomy platform. So we are aggregating all of this information across public and private data sources now into one record location. I can see when was the property built, renovated, how many stories it has, square footage, if it's associated to an opportunity zone or not, and what that zoning code is, all the way down to details around the location, the MSA that it's sitting in, the neighborhood, what have you. Beyond the physical characteristics of the asset, we will introduce that concept of the owner. So not only is this going to be the reported owner, but who we're able to resolve and tie this asset back to beyond the LLC. An occupants tab is going to surface up all of the occupants within the property. And we do really think of this as a true occupancy view rather than a rent roll type view because of the information that we're including, which is going to be that occupant name, their NAICS and SIC descriptions. And I'll scroll down here just a little bit. We can see this is 28 stories, right? So quite a lot of detail. Let me just scroll back up here. How many employees, the year the company started, their website, and any associated contacts there. The sales tab within a property is going to have a history of the sales transactions that are associated with this asset, including the buyer and the recorded seller, when that transaction occurred or was executed, the price that was associated, transaction type, and document type. If we can resolve to it and include that information, we'll even include document numbers, break down some of those values on a per square foot basis, and indicate if any other properties were associated with this through a multi-parcel sale. From the sales side of things over to the debt side of things, the debt tab is going to have that history of debt transactions for the property, so we can see when the last loan was taken out, what that maturity date is, the amount. If the property has a CMBS loan associated with it in any way, we'll be able to view a few additional details because of the filing requirements with CMBS properties. So we get just a little bit of extra detail: origination, loan to value, remaining balance, underwriting appraisal value, things like that. A tax tab is going to surface up up to the 5 most recent years of information, tax information for the property. And a financials tab, again, only appearing for those properties with a history of CMBS loans. So in this case, I've just got those details for the years where the CMBS loan was in place with the asset. A demographics tab is available for every property, giving you a view of the population of the neighborhood immediately surrounding this asset, especially useful for developers, multifamily, so you can get an idea of what does your population look like, how has it grown over time, what do household incomes, what trends have we seen in household incomes over time, and highlighting a 5-year change value for you. We can see the same for median renter income and really get a better understanding of the immediate surroundings of the asset. Now, everything that we've just looked at an asset level, if I take us back to that property list where we had the 15 assets, each of these cards is going to have all of those details for every single one of the assets that meet your filter search, your search results. I don't have to only process this in the Reonomy web platform. So while this is a great tool, we've got lots of features in place, the ability to take and add notes, add labels. You can also export this information. So our export tool allows you to select what details would you like to pull out of the system regarding the assets that met your filter criteria. I can see here on my properties tab, I can pull out just the address and latitude, longitude, or I can start to add to that and really include as much detail as the system offers. And again, that's for, all of those assets, in this case, the 15 that are meeting all of those search parameters I laid out, and that will export right out to Excel. So really quite straightforward. I think, you guys, that completes everything that we wanted to show you in the Reonomy web platform today. Jane, anything that I missed or left off before we launch our next poll? I think I covered it all.
I think you did. Hopefully everyone on the line can see that there's so many different opportunities and potential ways to use the Reonomy product that best meets your criteria. So I think Jess was able to highlight many of those, but of course we're always here and eager to connect with you and better understand your use case and how Reonomy might be of value to you.